Hello, class. Now, this is going to be an introduction to lighting in general. So, when we talk about lighting, it's a multiplication in example in the long form. Basically, light has a we basically say there's a light here has this color, hits that surface, and it's multiplied in some way. And that's I want to be very clear that that lighting when we talk about lighting somewhere in the calculations there's a multiplication that's going on that's and so when you work with something that is again right now I've got materials but let's go to my the pures. Here's pure black. If I put that pure black and this is pure black, let me make sure it is, yeah, it is a pure black. So if I put that on to this object right here, it's not going to take any lighting. Now it's doing things because there's more processes going on. But if you're using a pure black 000 across the board, you're going to get a 0 across the board. So don't use a pure black. It's the first thing you need to know about lighting. I'm going to go in and I'm going to undo that because I want to keep these right here. I've got a little world right here. I've got a few blocks right here. I've got a little underpass where I've got some shade going on right here. That will adjust because we'll play with that now. For your purposes right now, there are three types of lights, and we're just talking about generic lighting right now. There's and this is a discipline all to itself. So just know that this is the very tip of the iceberg. There's so much underneath the water that I'm not going to be able to, not even going to talk about. So just know this is just the very beginning. There's three types of lights that you are going to play with. First one is the directional light, and this is basically because it's thrown in the world before you already. And think of this as sun or moonlight for if you're in a night scene. But basically, this is essentially the direction of the light. They've got basically what is it? It's a directional, and there's other types. Again, you can do spot, point, in this area, but we'll look at those in a moment. Light appearance, there's filter and temperate. This is a new feature, but we're going to just play with color. And right now it's a nice, it's a white color. We can go outdoors, going to be yellowish, going to have some green. See, as I go more greenish, it's going to, so this is the hue of your sunlight. I go more white. I can more intense, so I can get darker. We'll play with this. The angle of the light is also going to be a player. So that's just know that, again, you can see here the multiplication. This color times that color gives us this result. I'm going to go in right here. That's one thing. The other thing you can do is intensity. I'm going to put like a 10. See, this is much 20 brighter, 30. So you can deal with intensity. It's going to how vibrant and how bright it is. Now this is a very bright scene as it is. I'm going to bring that back down. I'm actually bringing this to 0.5. And I can and one of the things I could do intensity 0 will not really have. There is ambient light, there's bouncing that's going on. So one of the things, if you really want this to get really dark, you got to start playing with how it's rotated. I'm going to put no Y rotation. I just play with the X rotation here. Now it's at 50 degrees. If I bring it to 30 degrees, not less so, let's bring it to 10. You can see 10, 5. Here it's 0. You can see that now I'm not really getting that much of light. I can get a negative 10, and now I'm shooting upwards, and this is getting darker and darker. Negative 50, and you can see this is really more of a night scene at this point. I'm going to leave it right this for now. You put it intensity 1. You can see that I'm getting some lighting. Now let's see, it's bouncing upwards. So if we go below, like hey, below the scene, that's how I'm getting that lighting. So I'm actually going to bring this back down to 0. Indirect multiplier. Come on. The indirect light through the scene. Basically, we can remove 0.1. or 0.2. So we got, some that is going to be a play. Let's go from here. I mean, if you really want this really, really dark, that's again, dig into the lighting system. There's a lot you can do. So let's play with a point light. Now, with the directional light, it doesn't matter where it is. And that's because all the rays from this are all coming at a singular angle. And basically the idea is sun so far away, the light of the sun is coming at a particular angle, regardless where you are regardless where you are. And that's what it's simulating. Let's start with a point light. And we're going to go right up here. I'm going to put, again, I'm going to go, let's go in here. Let's get to add light. I'm going to do a point light. So this is your next common thing. This is going to give you a sphere. And then it's over, we don't know where it is. So right now it's in the floor. I'm going to pull this up. You can see as I pull it out of the floor, you can see that I'm getting some of the light. And that's and I can go in, I can give it, let's do a red. Intensity of 10, you can see. Range is how far. We can go put 5, so it's a smaller range. I can pull this up. So this is at 5. I'm not affecting anything because that point it's not doing anything that I wanted to do. If I bring it down to like 3, you can see that now I'm getting that ring. And I want to put this over here. So I know this was 510. This is, so I want this to be at 5. I'll put this at 3.5, so 2.5. And Z is not going to be, so I'm putting that over that one. And you see it's affecting that one, that block as well as the side of this and side of that. Get used to using a lot of lights. Get used to sourcing your lights as well. So that's the other thing. One of the things I can do, like let's source this light. Let's put a light in here. I'll copy and I'll move that. This will be a size of, let me see. Do 0.1. This will be size of, let me see. I need to move this down. Here we go. So this will be 1 by 1. See, this was 3.5 y1, so that would be about 3. So this is going to be slightly in. So this will be basically 2.95. I want that on just on the roof. I'll just make this yellow. So you can think going here and be like, oh, I'll put in another point light. Actually, I'll attach it to this right here. Light, point light. And here we go. I can pull that down. Bring the intensity up to like 5. Be a range of 4. Yeah, range of 4 might do it. And that's, what you might think, hey, so point lights. So point lights are spheres. They're spheres of lights. So that's what they're going to cast. And that's, for the most part, what, one of the most common lights you're going to use over and over again. And then, again, don't be afraid to use lights. Now, there are 2 types of lights you're dealing with. On the rendering right here, let me see, it's not. Under general right here, it's what type it is, but also what it's real time, or if it's mixed, which has some real time, but is it baked? For our purposes right now, we're gonna just work with real time lights. I mean, everything can be real time. We don't have to go back to the 90s where everything was baked. A baked light basically means that you've set it in place and you've baked it into the scene, and you're not having to do the calculations for the light basically every single frame. And that's something later on, if you are considering doing optimization, doing work, you'll want to be using baked lights. For our purposes right now, we'll just leave them real time. We're not going to worry too much about it. I mean, we could, in theory, maybe have this object be rotating around something and that's giving off light. And there, so this source of light needs to move with it to real time. A flashlight in a game that you're holding is a real time light. Is effectively is what one is one to think about. But a street lamp that's just there, that's not doing much. It's just giving off some light. It's there to be a source of light. That can be very easily baked into your scene. So let's go back over here. Let's grab you again. And I'm gonna go over here and I'll make you green. And I'll make you over here blue. So you can see the interactions with stuff going on. And I can select all of them. Let's make their range, their intensity, range of 2. So we can get by making their range smaller, I actually make their range 1. We can get these really small. Bring these down to maybe 2.2. You can see that now they're illuminating the surface nicely. So no range, in fact, I can usually go down point. And you can see with 0.5, they're generating circles on top of now. So again, these are circles of lights. One thing I'm going to do with these, I'm going to make this Z of 6, so I've got a bit of overhang right here. Grab you. I'm just going to basically make a new 3D object cylinder. And I'm going to unparent it to that object. And I'll make this 0.5, 0.5. I'll let it sit like that. That's perfectly fine. Let's get this at 3, just so it's right in the middle. Negative 5.5. Yeah, that's good. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use that to our advantage, and we're going to put in new light. We're going to put in a spotlight, and think like theater lighting. Like here is this is so basically the direction it's facing, it's going to shoot down in that direction. So for our purposes, we want to rotate that down. There we go. And I want to rotate it on the x-axis. We'll just point it straight down. And so now I've got this light right here. I'm going to make this red. Crank up the intensity to we'll do 20, so you can see that. Range again. Where am I? This is 3.5. So I can put the range here. Let's get the light again. On a range of 4. Oh, that's intensity. The range is down here. So one thing that you can do with the spotlight, there is two cones. There is the inner cone, which is think full intensity, and then an outer cone where it spreads out. Inner outer shape right now I've got 21. Like the inner cone is, we'll keep this at 15, and then I'll go 120. You can see that it's now spread out, but it's much more spread out. I'll go to a range of 10. You can see that there is a hot spot. We can get that even. I'll do 10. So there's a direct spot, and then it fans out over several area. So again, think of these as like theater lights. These are going to have a spot. You put a spot onto something, and this is help control your lighting. So this is one of the things, like when I moved from Quake 20 years ago, Quake to Source, one of the things that was the spotlight came into vogue, came into use. And that's one of the things that Valve and id and everyone else are using. They're using spotlights to control. They're not doing the whole sphere of light. They're doing a cone of light. That's a big, big, big deal. I mean, these are the three lights that you're going to do. I mean, big things is try not to, try not to put them inside of objects. So the spotlight actually should be like -5 or like -1. Should be outside of, you can see the cone is outside. Let me bring this down even more. So lights should not be inside of objects. Otherwise, you're casting from inside them. Don't be afraid to mix lights. I've got the white light here and the red light here. If I can bring this down, I can bring this down 1, and this is going to be more dominant light over the other one. Yeah, don't be afraid to play with color with lights. Don't be, that's one of the things. Don't play with color, play with intensity. I know there's a filter and temperature. Play with that as you see fit. So again, the three lights that you are going to be playing with. First one is the directional light, and that's basically your sun. Your second one is going to be your point light, and this is going to be a sphere of light. Let me bring down range of 3. You can see this as it gets closer, you're going to have a hot spot on the surface. And then finally is the spotlight, which is a cone. I want to bring that into 90. There you go. So I bring that down, make it a little more precise. And those are the three types of lights that you're going to be using So there are ways to source lights. One of them, if we go, I'm going to just make a material right here for the sake of argument. Create material. I'm just going to call this yellow unlit. And so under the universal, so we've been using lit materials. That's the standard material for it. But if we bring that in under this, I hope get a whole slew of things here. Use the universal render pipeline. There are a couple others. There's, is it 2D? Is it baked? There's other, is it nature? Is it particles? The one that I'm going to go look at is unlit. And this is going to be, I'm just going to make this the yellow that we want. And now if I bring in, let's duplicate you and bring you out -9. Oh, that would be -7. 1 by 1 by 1. Bring you out to 0.5. 0.5. There we go. So we're going to do a box, and I can pull them out, and then I'll apply the yellow on lit. You can see that it's that bright yellow, but I can copy paste this light, and I can bring this up. You can see how no matter what I do, it's never going to change. That yellow is always going to be the same. This is good for source of lights, unlit materials. Be generous with your be generous in how not generous. Be careful how you use your unlit materials, how you use things that are unlit. Because right now this object is not taking any light. It's not going to be affected by lights, and it's going to be that brash yellow for the rest until I close the application. If this was in game, it would always be that. It's an option. There's things you can do that make sense, like neon signs, for example. That's part of this. That would be part of where you would go. It's maybe you'd start with unlit. Something that's neon, I'd actually probably build a shader. So there's options to create shaders beyond what we have here as well. But that's way beyond what we're talking about. So our purposes right now, just remember the big things is there's 3 types of lights: directional light, point light, spotlight. No source your light. So if you're an outside scene, the sun or the moon is your light source. If you have a lamp, that is your light source. Just getting in, having little detailed models that you can throw into a scene to be a source of a light, really cool. Again, we can go be small little lights. If I had more time, I could model a little model that has a little light in the center. Um, Apply material to it to give it what material, what color you want, and then I'll put a spotlight off of that to give you the light you need. So the goal is now is to go in. So I'm going to save this. I've actually gone and I've played around. Look, so here is my traffic light. I got a little green light on tap. I should probably put unlit light for the services. You can see these are unlit. These are lit. This tile is unlit. You can see right here. This is again. I've gone in. I did a new mesh model. So there's a new mesh model right here. And underneath has this yellow, and then I've got a point light. And I've used that point light 3 more times right here. I've actually put it into the model itself. So if you click on here, you can see that spotlight is a so here is the tile light, and I've added the tile light mesh to it because its origin point is the same as the tile. So if I wanted to move this tile around, hey, it's going to go for a ride. So ways of thinking about building that you can use to your advantage. Again, here's the tile light. It's in position, it's at 0, 0 because its origin point is at 0, same as the tile. But here's the spotlight. It's at negative 20 Z of 90. So one of the things that I did wrong with this tile set, I'll just tell you right now, is I built them 100 by 100 by 20. And I probably should have built it, and I kept it as meters. Probably should have used it as centimeters. So just as you know, why you're seeing huge values. These tile sets are really big. This is a 10 by 10. This is 10 by 10, and then across 20. Well, 100 by 100, and then across 20. And I think I've let me go to here's the window right here. So I've scaled it down significantly. I think I've done it. Yeah, I've done it. Actually, I've done 0.5. So, 20. So I've divided basically effectively by 20. So this is essentially about a 10 by 10 by 1 across. So that's size matters. If I had built it better, if I had used centimeters, that probably would have been a better option. So this is kind of where you're going to go. Do make a sky dome. Make it big. Go lighting. Make sure that it doesn't cast shadows. So this is just basically, again, I went into the 3ds Max, cut a sphere in half, flip the normals, and just applied a material inside of it. So here is what you need to do to do Lab 9. And this is, if you gave me this for Lab 9, I'd be okay. Give me a version with the scene view and give me a version in game view. And I need to set up my game view. So where's my window, main camera? And so I've got this nice view right here. You can go to the main camera, go down to align with view. And you can also do move to view. So Control Alt F and Control Shift F. And so now if I go back to my game view, why is it? Let's try that one more time. Oh, yeah, move to view. Why is it doing that? That's weird. is it doing? It's not moving to where I wanted it to be. That's weird. So at least I'll pull it out just a little bit more. So I can do now line. There we go. Move to grid position. There we go. There we go. So if you gave me a screenshot like that and a screenshot like this, showed more what's going on, that would be sufficient for what you need to do for this lab. All right. Have fun, everyone.